pillars and make notes about them, and also vocabulary. First pillar, all is eternal. So to get a little further into it, basically what it means is when you're in a fight, you need to think of all the possibilities. You have to actually look at your opponent. What do they look like their strengths are? How are they going to come at you? Jab at them and find out how they react. You have to think of all the possibilities. And in order to think, you have to analyze what is observational. And sometimes a jab or a jab kick, or even a kick to the leg, or even a kick to the head, even if it's blocked, will let you know how they block, their timing, their rhythm. All is eternal means that everything is a before, a during, and an after. So the first pillar really has so many meanings, but number one in a fight is to think of all the possibilities, both in space and in time. Also think about what move they're likely to make next so you can be in the proper position. Okay, second pillar is nobility is excellence. So we know that means that you want to be a stand-up person. You want to keep your head up high. Well, in a fight, you really want to keep your chin low. You don't want to keep your head high, but what we mean by that is you want to stay on your feet. And the reason being is it's not like MMA where you're in the UFC and you get down to a ground fight and then you can do all these moves and tricks. In a real fight, and I know this from experience, there's going to be other people that can jump in and might jump in, probably will jump in certain places. So getting off your feet and getting on the ground to grapple is really not optimal in a real fight, a street fight, bar fight, anything like that. Again, nobility is excellence also means that you don't want to fight in the first place, because the acme of excellence being to never to be able to subdue your opponent without ever fighting. Okay, the third pillar, balance is the law. And so we know that balance is the law. That means like water always tries to find its level. Everything falls to the ground, center of gravity. You got to know your ground in the fight. That means knowing your terrain, your surroundings, what's around you. Your weight, check out the weight of your opponent, know what their ground is also going to be. And another lesson about balance is gym workouts versus actual functional strength training. Now, as someone who's worked physical labor jobs before, where you're moving boxes, you're climbing up and down stairs with boxes, climbing up and down trucks, I can tell you for one thing is that you build all the small tissue and connecting tissue muscle, and this allows you to be a lot stronger than a normal gym workout individual. And this comes huge into play in fighting. So you see like the old movies with Rocky where he's throwing bags of sand, or he's punching sides of beef hanging in the freezer. All these things that are actually like functional strength training. Maybe not the punching of beef, you might want to eat that for dinner, but moving around boxes, heavy boxes, twisting and doing it while you're in a position where only your legs have to hold yourself up. Those types of exercises are more optimal than your typical gym workout, or when you go to the park, you see the, like those machines. I even don't remember the names of those machines, but you know which ones, like the rowing, you're standing up and you're kind of running, but you're not. It's kind of like a ski machine. Anyway, those are not optimal. Pull-ups, push-ups, running, anything where your balance comes into play and you have to go against gravity or flow with gravity. That's the way to go. Okay, so those are the 3 pillars, and there are many more lessons to come about that. But first, let's get into to end the show, we'll get into some vocabulary. So words are important. What does the word block mean? Well, it comes from the old French bloc, and it usually could have meant a block of wood, such as when you cut timber into blocks of wood. Blocks of wood are hard and are made they used to make cabins out of them. So obviously when you block, you want to create like that, like a cabin where you're keeping your opponent's hits from hitting you. It also meant like an executioner's block, where you put the head of the condemned, and then the guillotine follows and chops their head off. Well, the block itself, you can think about it like your shoulder. So if your opponent's head is on your shoulder, you can use it as, leverage to press down, with your other arm, press down your opponent's head against your shoulder and use your shoulders as a block. Another word for block, which I found interesting, is like in an engine, or even in the old like wooden machines when they have like a cog or like a pulley system. A block is something that turns or reverses the momentum of something, like in an engine, transmits the energy into a different direction. So a block can also be used into, changed into a grapple. So if you block somebody, you can also use it to start grappling their arm or their leg in a transfer of momentum. Okay, hit comes from the Swedish hitta. And it means rebuke, and also means to come upon someone, which that means like ambush them in the forest or something and, attack. Also, the one that I like is find. It also means to find someone or something, to find it. And it also has a meaning in Swedish, I guess, that means like to find it like in a target. Maybe it's Swedish or there are other languages, but hit basically means to target. So you really want to target your hits. You don't want to just flail your arms out there. And for that, obviously, you need to have strong arms. You need to practice proper technique. And all of your joints and the ends of your bones are where the force and the momentum of the hit are the hardest. So you really need to practice straight punches, things like that. Okay, the last one that I wanted to talk about was combat. Okay, so the word combat. Same word, combat. I think it comes from French. It means bat is a word that means beating or battery, and com means between two people. So it's a two-person beating or two-party beating. Could be combat between armies. Battery also is a derivative of that. And that obviously means, battering somebody, or when you batter a town with a siege of artillery. A batter, obviously, somebody in baseball, he's battering the ball, and you can think of the baseball bat where the swing is the way a batter swings the bat. The centrifugal motion leaves the momentum at the end of the bat. That's why he tries to hit the ball as hard as he can with the end of the bat, because it'll transfer the most energy and power into the ball and hit it over the fence. Okay. Battalion, obviously, another word that comes from that. So bat and beat. All right. That's a little bit of vocabulary. Words are very important to me, and in Vo they are. So thank you very much. Hope you subscribe. Catch us on the social media, Fighting Vo, and have yourselves a good night and a good day.